Greetings, my name is Neosekken, and welcome back to my Let's Play of Corpse Party Blood Drive for the PC. In the last episode, I managed to finish the main story, and long story short, we managed to narrowly avoid the Nirvana apocalypse, courtesy of Ayumi eating it and sacrificing her existence in the process, along with restoring the memory of her fallen friends from Class 2-9. She wasn't able to revive them, but she was able to restore memories of them back in the mortal world. But, well, now she no longer exists in the mortal world, and the only company that she has is the Book of Shadows and Yoshiki, who decide to stay behind when the Nirvana was being swallowed up by her to basically give her company in her non-existence in the world. And she seems to have been reduced to a catatonic state. And as far as I'm concerned, all we really accomplished was delaying the inevitable return of the Nirvana, because once Ayumi kicks the bucket, like Sachiko did at the beginning of the series in terms of chronological order, the Nirvana is going to end up escaping out of her guts and just, well, coming back with a vengeance at some point later on, and following that, the apocalypse that we tried to prevent in this game. So, unless in like Corpse Party 2 or a later installment, we can find some way to actually completely destroy this thing, assuming that the Nirvana is touched upon in Corpse Party 2. I have no idea if it will be, because as far as I'm aware, Corpse Party 2 is a separate installment from the Heavenly Host saga, and well, I have no idea how connected its events is going to be to any of the previous games, if any at all. But yeah, bottom line is, I think the ending's bullshit. It may try to present itself as a bittersweet ending, but as far as I'm concerned, it's pretty much damn close to a downer ending. Anyway, we still have some loose ends to tie up. I gotta find 3 name tags in chapters 10 and 9, and then after that, I gotta find 2 more wrong ends for chapter 10, and then we gotta check out EX chapter 7. I have no idea if I'll get all that done within this episode, but if assuming that I do, and there's nothing left after this, then this will be the final episode of Corpse Party Blood Drive. If not, then this will probably be the penultimate, but we'll find out shortly, won't we? Anyway, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start looking for the name tags, and then once I'm sure I have all of them, I will move on to getting the wrong ends for Chapter 10, and then just go from there. You know, now that I think about it, I never found a use for this glass ball in Chapter 10. Maybe there's somewhere I gotta stick this thing. I really hate having to do this, but I just can't for the life of me find this one last name tag in Chapter 10, so I had to look up a name tag list. And, well, turns out the reason I couldn't find it is because apparently it's a secret name tag that I have to do a few things in a very specific order in order to make appear in the crystal room that leads to the final boss. And that is, in a nutshell, me having to use the one talisman that appears in this chapter on a specific spirit that appears in the reference room. And then once I do that, I need to pick up a key that it drops, and then a crystal ball that I pick up earlier and then a crystal ball that I also pick up in this chapter, and then I gotta use them on a locked cabinet. And then, well, the name tag should appear. I really wanted to find this name tag on my own, but I just couldn't. So I'm kind of bitter that I had to look up the solution for this. But well, at the rate I was going, it would be forever. It would probably have been forever before I figured something out on my own. So yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and do just that, and move on to Chapter 9, and hopefully there won't be any secret name tags I'll have to deal with in Chapter 9 as well. Otherwise, well, if it requires a very specific method for me to try find a certain name tag or two, then I'm probably gonna have to look up the secret for that as well. But we'll see. Thank you for killing me. I'm going to die now. Goodbye. What the? Thinking quickly, I slapped the spirit with my talisman. She seemed to leave something behind on the ground as she disappeared. Wow, there we go. There's that key. Now, if memory serves, the cabinet is right this way. There we go. There's a small depression in the back of the cabinet, seemingly custom designed for one specific object. This. Use glass ball. Suddenly, the door across the way seemed to have a different air about it. An entirely more menacing presence. Oh, hello. I see a purple light there. Okay, come on, come at me. There's a student ID name tag lying on the ground. Mage's Guild Master, Chiumaru Shikura. Cannot die. Master of Guild of Surviving Mages. Dwells somewhere in this world. Okay, I think I did it. Why can I not access the options menu? That's odd. But I mean, hey, now I can move on to Chapter 9. That blue light, those blood... What's that blue light? Come to think of it, I don't think I even came in here before. Attached to size corpse. Okay, Ariel Intel Junior, High Class 2D. Hitami Nishizaka. Suffered fatigue and starvation, but was consumed by nirvana before proper death could occur. The blue light that hung over the corpse has disappeared. You know, this is the second instance of these blue lights that I've seen in this chapter. They gotta mean something, right? Let me see. Okay, we got one more name tag to find. I have no idea where it is. But I think what I will do in the meantime, while I'm looking for that, is see if I can find any more corpses with blue lights on them, because that really piques my interest. Another one. Name tags are okay. It's the third one. There you are. Damn it. Name tag from the soul's been cataloged. Okay, that's the fourth light. Hey, hey, hey! Number 5. How many of these do I have to find? Oh, hello! Creator has appeared upon the helix connecting heaven and earth. What, you mean the spiral tower? Is that it? There's a student ID name tag line on the ground. Grindhouse Academy villain. Makoto Keijuben. Wait a minute. That name sounds familiar. Isn't that the guy who made Corpse Party? Death unconfirmed. A supernatural entity capable of bringing worlds to life. This world was born on his whims. Well, if he is who I think he is, then technically that's true. Let's see. I got him. I got them all. Every single name tag. Mission accomplished. Now, I gotta do something about those 2 wrong ends for Chapter 10, and then we can move on to EX Chapter 7. You know, I want to go up here. There's gotta be a reason Hello? Well, how about that? Turns out there was a segment I totally skipped out on. Aiko, where are you going? Sensation. I recognize it. Are we gonna finally find out what the hell happened to Inamaru? Well, speak of the devil. Where the hell have you been? Hello. I was right. Haruyuki. Is that really you, Haruyuki? Thank goodness. I thought I don't think the feeling of happiness is mutual between him and you. Just so you know. Inamaru had been completely overtaken by the darkening, his hatred transforming him into a feral beast. His mouth was now slit on both ends, giving him a disturbing, almost fox-like appearance. With speed and precision, he beelined right for Aiko's neck and bit deeply into it, with obvious intent to kill. Ayumi, if you're nearby and you got a talisman on you, now would be a very good time to use it. Yuki, I'm sorry. For running away. I stole that smile of yours. So go ahead. Kill me. Aiko! I copped to the 2 figures, where I found one seemingly trying to eat the other. I'll save you. Yumi? I'm just gonna try to save you. It hurts. But I can't run. No! Evil spirit! Let go of her! I branched the Book of Shadows in front of me like a shield, attempting to intimidate the attacker. If you don't, I will destroy you! Yeah. It's okay. I can finally be with everyone else. You're tugging at my heartstrings, Aiko. Hey, Sayaka? Who's that? Out of the blue, a girl I had never seen before now stood in the creature's path. She was wearing uniquely designed green pins in her hair. Looking more closely, her body had a slight sheen to it and was partially translucent. You stupid dog! What do you think you're doing? Sayaka? The rampaging Inamaru showed no signs of having comprehended Sayaka's words. Maybe you should try yelling louder. Did you really come here looking for me? I mean, do you even have a brain in that blockhead of yours? You're such an idiot! You should know better, you dumb mutt! Maybe that's getting through? Now she seemed to have gone through to him. He stopped biting down on Aiko, releasing his grip ever so slightly. You really are just a pathetic mongrel. How could you let yourself turn into something like that? Sayaka's tone had a slight waver to it, belying her harshness. But her berating of Inamaru was working. His eyes were beginning to well up with tears. How do you not understand that you have a perfectly suitable girl here already? Am I speaking with an accent or something? Damned boneheaded pooch! He was full on bawling now, and nothing seemed like it could slow its tears. You're just such a dumbass. This is no one's fault, you know. No one could have known this would happen. Well, maybe Aiko could have. So don't blame Naho, excuse me, not Aiko. So don't blame Aiko. Okay? Do you understand? She was less reassuring him and more commanding him. Inamaru released Aiko from his mouth entirely and became very quiet. Good boy, Inamaru. Aiko, I'm gonna take this dolt with me. But whenever your time comes to a close, let's all meet up again, okay? Hopefully not in a place like this. Aiko's face was as glazed over with tears as Inamaru's. She nodded, unable to even raise her head. You know, I am actually pretty damn surprised here that you were able to reach Inamaru, even though he clearly fully succumbed to darkening. Guess that really just goes to show just how much he cares about you, huh? I'm so sorry. Thank you, Sayaka and Haruyuki. With one final soft, serene flash of light, Sayaka and Inamaru both dissipated into the air and were gone from sight. Aiko. I'm sorry. That was very unlike me. Is that it? Well, shit. I really am regretting not having gone up here back in the last episode, or the episode before that. Still, what would have happened if I chose the other option? Okay, here we go. Kill me. It's okay. I can't run from this. No. Evil spirit! Let go of her! I branched the book of shadows in front of me like a shield, attempting to intimidate the attacker. If you don't, I'll destroy you. Okay, this looks the same. Oh. I think we're finally getting something different here. Aiko! Oh. Did you eat her head? With one sharp, violent spray of blood, Aiko's head fell clean off. Where? Ah! Aiko! Aiko! No! Tears of blood were streaming down from Inamaro's eyes. The beast then turned his focus on me. Everybody needs to die. Then I will see them all again. We can be friends like before. Inamaro lunged at me, mouth agape. I don't even have time to scream. It only took a split second before it was all over. Once again, anticlimactic. Okay, now I got one more ending to find. And if I have to wager a guess as to where it is, I'm going to assume it's with the battle against that entity that I fight at near the middle of chapter 10. Because I got one wrong end, well, two wrong ends fighting that thing. Maybe I can get a third. If not, then well, I'll find it eventually. Maybe you'll respond differently if I fight with only 1 HP left. You gotta give me something here. It's gotta be that. It's the only thing I haven't tried yet. I'm sorry to use you guys as sacrificial pawns, but it's for the greater good of completion. Of completionist's sake, I mean. Let's give it a shot. Semper. Let's try that. And oh, shit. There we go. This looks the same. I woke to a white expanse stretched out before me and realized I was still in midair. It almost seemed like I was above the clouds, looking down the world below. What is that? Finally, the light from the Book of Shadows faded, its power spent. I immediately lost my balance and fell through the sea of clouds, landing with a thump. Okay, this looks the same. Spoke.
Experience very all good.
Tried to step back, tripped and fell. Mouth open wide. Did I do something wrong? Or is there really... Or does it just not matter if I... Okay, let me guess. Maybe it just doesn't matter how many of their spirits I have left as long as I win? Then I just get the true end? To choke me. Quickly, ever, I grabbed the girl's arms. Give her the biggest hug you can muster. Her girl stopped moving entirely. Right eyes look at shining incredible wave. Somewhere deep in my head, I can hear a sound form blowing through my muscle tissue. Stripes scream pain. Shockwave shook the air, transforming the light shining the world around me. My Gordon right eye. Wait. This is different, I think? Somehow or another, I was able to return the core. I did it, sis! Yeah, this is different, finally. I was really starting to get worried for a sec. I sighed again and looked around me. There's a pool of blood surrounding you, Satsuki. You didn't eat everybody, did you? The only distinctly visible thing nearby was a large pool of blood, and standing in the middle of it was a girl wearing the same school uniform as Yuka's. She turned around and looked at me, sobbing uncontrollably. Her eyes were pitch black and her entire countenance seemed somehow off. Aren't you? Yeah. From Kisaragi Middle, right? Hey, where's everyone else? You did eat them. Satsuki licked her lips with the speed of a lizard. It was a sort of movement that no ordinary human could possibly accomplish, though it happened so quickly that I was kind of doubting what I'd just seen. Wasn't everybody here earlier? Come on, say something. Where'd this pool of blood come from? It was only after I'd asked this that I heard a voice from behind me. Hey, Yumi. Shinozaki. You're... Wait. I can't tell if you're just hanging off the ledge because I think I see your... No, wait, that's your hair. Your hair is just phasing through the floor. You're missing your legs, aren't you? You're... Ah! It looked like something had bitten off most of Marguerite's body from the waist down. Her flesh was tattered, her organs exposed, and blood absolutely everywhere. I fucked up. That thing's synapses are shot. Get the hell out of here! What? I had no idea what she was talking about. Then, in a flash... Run! Satsuki's head split apart like a blooming flower, and then the creature lunged directly at me. No! Ah! Just like that, my head was bitten clean off my body, and the rest of me just plopped to the ground. Chewing and crunching sounds echoed throughout the empty, otherwise silent space as Satsuki enjoyed her freshly caught meal. You know, I would really like to know why the hell... What the hell is the backstory surrounding Satsuki? I mean, unless just the fact that she's apparently some kind of monster / spy for Martaba's tomb is literally all we really need to know about her backstory, in which case, well, okay. I guess that's just something that Blood Drive just felt like tossing there here just to raise the stakes higher. It's for the sake of it. But still, like, I don't know. I feel like there's more, there's something I'm missing here. EVP entries for Satsuki and Mizuhara have been unlocked. Like, okay, maybe I could... No, that's just for the dialogue thing. Is there something that her little encyclopedia thing could tell me? Where are you? I don't... Oh, wait, there you are. Nope, nothing at all. Well, damn. Okay, that's all the wrong ends for all the different chapters. So I say we go ahead and check out what extra chapter 7 is going to be. This is probably going to be this is probably going to be an extra long episode if it turns out to be of similar length to one last extra chapter I unlocked in the last game. But if not, then, well, good for us, I guess. But either way, let's see what this is about. This is the EX Chapter 7, Satsuki's Heart. Well, how about that? Here I was just asking if there was more to your actual backstory. It's almost like the universe knew. It was almost like the universe just knew to set this thing right in front of me, right around the time I would get around to it and start asking these questions. Or maybe it was just pure coincidence. I don't have any clear memories of my childhood. But I do remember my parents being kind. What were your parents like? Also, humanoid abominations like yourself? It was dusk, and the room was completely unlit. It was so dark inside that we could have been entertaining guests, and I never have known it. Because I'd never have been able to see them. I felt alone, but I knew I wasn't. And I was determined to get my mom's attention. Mom, I'm hungry. Assuming she hadn't moved since the sun had started setting, my mom was probably still sitting at her small kitchen table, leaning her elbows on it and cradling her forehead. Why is it dark in your house? This is the third time I informed her of my desire to eat. And finally, this time, I could hear her start to move at the sound of my voice. Though this was my home, it had always felt just like an empty void to me. I have a feeling I'm going to be exposed to a rather unhappy childhood story, aren't I? And now, it was more than just a feeling. I noticed my voice was echoing a lot more than it ever used to. All of our furniture was mysteriously disappearing, day in and day out. Yesterday was the toaster. The day before was the piano. The day before that was our chest of drawers. And today was... excuse me. Dad? Where had Dad gone, I wondered. Mom? Mom's shadow moved slightly, silhouetted in a shade of black, only slightly different from the rest of the blackness around me. She extended her arm in my direction. Satsuki, gomenne. I'm sorry, Satsuki. Her tone, like the house itself, was dark. Maybe it just sounded that way because of the general mood in the room. Hopefully that's all it was, I thought. Mom, the lights won't turn on. Satsuki, gomenne. I'm sorry, Satsuki. Huh? Suddenly, my field of vision shook violently, and my surroundings began flitting like shooting stars. Huh? Were you hit? Flashes of light were whizzing to and fro as the barely discernible ceiling pattern above me was phasing in and out of existence. The legs of the table I was sitting at began to melt away. I saw Mom's face for a moment, And then there was this strange march of frying pans flying through the air. Which was especially strange, since we only owned one frying pan. Flying pans flying throughout the air. My entire face began to swell and go into convulsions. My ears were howling and ringing. I could barely hear anything anymore. Oh no. She's hitting you, isn't she? The areas under my nose and ears were all wet and cold as well. Was that snot? Earwax? What was I feeling? Satsuki! I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. See? Whenever this happened, Mom would always hang back and rest her head for a bit, but would then hug me with the kindest, warmest, most sickeningly sweet embrace. That's why I love them. I love frying pans. I love what they represent to me.
ごめんね。これしかないの。
I'm sorry, dear, but this is all I have. Your moods are just changing at the drop of a hat. It's kind of scary. Mom gave me some potato chips. They weren't exactly my favorite brand, so their flavor was kind of iffy. But it's the thought that counts, right? There were cartons and cartons of potato chip bags all throughout our house. And they were all for me. I was the only one who really ate them. And whenever I did, Mom would always seem to be a little happier for some reason. So frying pans were my favorite objects, and potato chips were my favorite food.
さつき、3日後あなたに大事なお役目があるのよ。
Satsuki, in 3 days, you have a very important role to fulfill.
お役目って何？
A role? What's a role?
喜びなさい。あなたは大司教様の比類ない英知で生まれ変わるの。人間としてワンランク上に上がることができるのよ。
It's something joyous. You're to be reborn through the incomparable wisdom of the Archbishop. You'll be one rank higher than ordinary humans. What does that entail exactly? Satsukin! Satsukin! What's up?
あ、水原さん。
Oh, Mizuhara. This was Harue Mizuhara. I'd known her since grade school. I still wasn't sure how to react when someone called out to me, though, so I just stared at her blankly.
何？
What is it?
相変わらずあんたってネクラね。たまにはおいっすとかいい返事返してみなさいよ。
Well, aren't you Miss Gloomy again today? Can't you at least give me a what's up every now and again?
まあいいや。さつき犬、今週末こそほら、前から言ってたランド行こうよ。
Whatever. Satsukin, this weekend we have to hit up land. We can't just keep talking about it and not go.
週末はダメ。集会がある。
I can't do weekends. I have meetings.
もうそんなもの宗教にどっぷりハマってる親たちに任せればいいじゃないか。本当は行きたいんだろう。
For crying out loud. Why not leave all that religion crap to your parents? You at least want to go with me, don't you?
ほら、その顔は。 ってるんだよ。サツキーヌがランドで買ってきたモッキーのパンツ愛用してること。
Aha! I know that face. I know it well. I know how much you love those Maki pants that I bought you from there.
行きたい。
I do want to go, but...
親の押し付けなんてスルースルー。やめろやめろ。
Ignore your parents, girl. I haven't seen too much of her parents, but I think I've seen enough to have a fairly good idea that ditching them may not be the wisest of ideas. Ditch them. Give them the heave-ho. Mizuhara was genuinely really funny. She had a certain sense of timing about her that made it hard for me not to get sucked in. I didn't usually laugh, as a rule, but this girl could really bring it out of me.
まったくもう、子供が親を選べたらいいのに。サツキーヌももっと明るく健康的にさ。
Honestly, wouldn't it be nice if people could pick and choose their parents? You could be so bright and cheery if you weren't always cooped up in Darksville.
その結構胸もある体で男子を脳殺とかしろよな。
Plus, you got a good pair on you, so why not use those to bring all the boys to the yard? Be all like, boingy, boingy. Later that day, Mizuhara had gotten into a car accident on her way home from school. Well, shit. We hardly knew ye. Her jaw had shattered on impact, preventing her from smiling again. Okay, never mind. I guess she's okay, just has a shattered jaw. Since then, she ain't come to school a single time.
あなたがサツキちゃんね。よく来たわ。
Hello, Marguerite. You must be Satsuki. It's nice of you to come.
偉い。本当に偉い。そんな若い美空で、物の道理と自己犠牲の尊さを分かってる。素敵よ。
You're such a good girl. Despite your young age, you show a firm grasp of reason and understand the nobility of self-sacrifice. You truly are a wonder. Are you gonna sacrifice her in some way? Because none of this is striking me as self-sacrificing, but more so coerced sacrificing, if you know what I mean. Whatever this is leading to, I mean, but that's kind of the impression I'm getting so far. I was brought to this suspicious place through some magic that obviously leaned a bit on the dark side. I remember I was really cold here, since I was wearing nothing but a thin black robe.
目的も分からずに、無感動に親の言うことをひたすら聞く。きっととってもいい子なのでしょうね。
Following her parents' orders without talking back at all. She must be a very good child indeed, or a horrifically abused one. And I'm kind of leaning more towards the latter interpretation. This was the headquarters of Martaba's tomb. I was in a room lined of terrifying-looking devices, and everyone around me was dressed in similar robes, listening intently, almost passionately, to their leader's voice. My mind was a blank slate. I had a smile on my face, but I didn't want to make eye contact, so I just focused all my attention on a random piece of floor.
はい、マスターマガリ。うちの子は本当に素直で従順で。
Yes, Mr. Smoggery. Our child truly is most honest and obedient.
教団のお役に立てるならば何でもと進んで名乗りを上げました。
As you can see, we'll do anything we can to be of use to the order. Anything at all.
あっそ。それよりお前らは上納金を支払いな。どんだけ滞納してると思ってる。
Is that so? Then how about you pay your fucking dues for a change? I wonder if you could even guess how many times you defaulted. Yes, mistress.
猫正月。汝は自らの意志でその運命を受け入れるか？
Satsuki, my pawn. Do you accept this fate of your own volition? I don't even know why you bother asking something like this to what you consider to be a pawn. I gave an empty smile and turned my gaze lazily toward the corner of the ceremony room. What I saw there gave me a sudden chill, though I did my best not to show it. Sticking out from a massive earthenware pot was Haru's face, though thoroughly bloodied and with eyes rolled back into her skull. Did you kill Haru?
親の押し付けなんてスルースルー。
Nor your parents, girl. Ditch him. Streams of drool and blood alike had stained her lifeless chin. She appeared very much as if she had literally just been thrown away, like yesterday's garbage.
猫正月。どうだ？運命を受け入れた子らの親は見返りとして教団内で大きな地位を手に入れる。
Satsuki, my pawn. What's it to be? The parents of those who accept this fate will be granted a powerful position within our holy order. At the cost of what to Satsuki? That's what I want to know. The room fell silent, no doubt anxiously awaiting my response. I've been trying my hardest to swallow my emotions, but there are just some feelings a person can't suppress. And one of them made its way up from my heart and out of my mouth. I don't want to die, Mr. Smoggery. Well, so your parents are basically sacrificing you in some kind of ritual so they can move up in rank within this cult of yours. Lovely parenting, 10 out of 10. Would highly recommend them for babysitting. It was accompanied by a sudden flurry of tears, and my parents immediately began to show signs of extreme panic on their faces. They looked at me as if I just committed the greatest affront known to man. Self-preservation! Because apparently that's the greatest affront known to man. Wanting to preserve one's own life in the face of death. How dare you? Just how dare you want to actually live and not just casually throw away your life for the greater good of your cult? They were afraid, but also disgusted. Their stares were cold and accusatory. This is a transformation experiment, right? So you were human at one point, but then you were turned into something that isn't? Is that what... That's gotta be what this means, right? I don't want that!
Yosh.
Alright. This simple affirmative statement was followed by one quick flick of the wrist. And suddenly, my parents were now missing the upper halves of their bodies. Still don't mess around. It required almost no effort. My parents each now lay in two pieces, making a squishy, slimy, awful sound as they died. Honestly, you're probably a hell of a lot better off anyway.
さつき、その息やよしだ。
At least
友達の水原の分も生きろ。
At least if you were in any other situation than the one you're currently in right now, of course. Because adoption may be playing a game of Russian roulette here when it comes to getting a good or a bad family, but I mean, compared to the alternative, I'd still say it's a shot worth taking. That's just what I was hoping for from you, Satsuki. Live on for your friend, Mizuhara.
あんたは私の元で暮らすがいい。愛玩動物として飼ってやる。
You can live under me. I'll take you in as my pet.
代わりの親も。すぐに用意してやるわ。
I'll even prepare replacement parents for you. I...
では、心霊手術、始めまーす。
Now then, let the spiritual surgery begin. But you're going through with it anyway, huh? I am Satsuki Mizuhara. And I have just been born on this day. Wait, you were fused with Haru? That's how you came to be? You're literally a fusion of two different people? Soulful testimony from Yumihara has been unlocked. EX Chapter A has been unlocked. Well, how about that? We got something else. EX Chapter 8. Regnition.
篠崎あゆみによる涅槃封印は、異空間天神小学校で命を落とした者たちの存在を取り戻した。
After Ayumi Shinozaki sealed away the Nirvana, those who lost their lives at Heavenly Host Elementary were able to exist in this world once again. How can you even recall Ayumi? Because, I mean, if her entire existence has been wiped from the world, shouldn't she essentially be a blank in your head or something?
しかし、死者は蘇らない。
But the dead can never truly be brought back to life.
エンティティウォールや涅槃球体は消滅したが、下界には巨大な穴と多数出た死者という爪痕はそのまま残っていた。
The entity walls in a nirvana may be gone, but they left massive chasms in the earth and countless casualties in their wake.
持田聡殿の話を聞くと、教師宍戸結衣の代わりにいた丹羽久遠や篠原聖子の代わりにいた生徒はその存在を消滅させたらしい。
Plus, according to Satoshi Mochida, Kuon Niwa and all the students who took the place of his formerly existenceless friends in this world have now been erased in their stead. Wow! That sucks for them.
だが丹羽久遠は死亡の事実は変わらないが、丹羽愛子の姉としてのその存在は残った。
Though Kuon Niwa's existence isn't entirely gone, she still somehow exists in memory as Aiko Niwa's sister.
会長を失ったパーフェクトライフは偉大な支柱の抜けた穴を埋めるため、引き継ぎや後処理で大きな混乱に陥っていたようだ。
And while I don't exactly remember how or why this came to be, Perfect Life is now short one CEO and is falling into total chaos trying to find and train a replacement.
世はすべての歴史に立ち会ってきたシャーマンなり。
We are shamans, We have witnessed the entirety of history.
過去邪馬台国で卑弥呼が倒れし時も、東欧革命の折にあの壁が崩れし時も、
When Queen Himiko fell during the Yamatai Koku, we were there. When the wall fell during the Eastern European Revolution, we were there.
世は転生を繰り返し、すべての時代が変わる瞬間に立ち会い、世を動かしてきた存在である。
We have been resurrected time and again, standing proud as the eras shift. We, and we alone, have moved this world. Arrogant sons of bitches, aren't you? Thinking that you yourselves were the only ones moving the world forward. And not like literally everyone else on the whole fucking planet.
たたえよ。世がここへ転生してくるゆえんは、まさにこの世が変わる随兆。
Praise, for we resurrect here again, a pleasing omen of the earth's newest impending shift.
報われぬ魂よ。前世の業を覆いし不遇のとよ。世と共に変革の観測者たらん。
Unguerded souls, thou hast failed in thy past life, and must now bear witness to our revolution.
皆、福音である。
This is our gospel.
この幼子を見よ。昨夜、我が教団にて産み落とされし、奇跡の子である。
Behold, the child. Last night, a miracle was born unto our order.
母親は不明。この弱いでの生誕。これはまさに神の再来なり。
The mother be not known, but a birth at such an age. 'Tis surely the second coming of God.
この子には才能がある。
ん？
いずれ世の後継としてふさわしく成長するであろう。世と共に称えるのだ。
This child has the potential. This child shall one day grow to be our successor. Let us all praise this child. What child? Once the cleanup efforts from the Nirvana incident had more or less become old news, I decided to pay the order a visit and see what was up.
随分とボロボロになったものね。
Damn, this place sure went south.
涅槃期間後、私はマルトゥバ本部へ戻ってきた。教祖部屋は壁や床に穴が開き、教団機も傾いて、ひどく荒れ果ててしまっていた。
It's been forever since I last came here, but look at this place. Damage everywhere, holes in the walls and floors, a neglected flag slanted on its pole. A mess all around. And I gotta say, this is the most well-kept mess I've ever seen, going by the background art.
Master Magari, ご無事でしたか?
Mistress Marguerite, I'm pleased you've come back to us safely.
わずかに残った教団員。あれほどいた連中がどこに姿を消してしまったのだろうか。
One of the few remaining members. And there were so many before. I wonder where they all disappeared to.
世界の混乱にも耐えうる結束と信じていた私は内心胸がムカついていた。
Not that I should have ever trusted them to keep their shit together in the first place when the apocalypse came knocking. I was kind of mad at myself for being surprised at all.
教団員はおどおどした挙動で私の顔色を伺ってくる。
Don't know who this person is, but he's looking at me kind of nervously.
教祖様は
Where's the founder?
それが
Well,
教祖は教団近くに何本目かのエンティティウォールが生えた際に慌てふためいて階段を踏み外し死亡したという。
when one of several entity walls sprouted near the Order's HQ, our founder apparently panicked and fell down the stairs. And died. Sad day for the tomb, I guess.
教団員は随分減ったが、皆死んだのか。
So is the reason there are so few members now because everybody died?
はい。または
Mostly.
恐ろしくなり逃げ出した者も多数。
Mostly. There were several others who ran away in fear as well,
他の幹部もか。
even among the elites.
はい。
I'm afraid so. I turned around and walked out of the room. Your bedroom looks to be in one piece. The springs creaked and groaned as I tossed about in my bed.
アルトゥバに捧げた私の人生は何だったのか。
What the fuck was the point in devoting my life to Martubas? That's something you're gonna have to find the answer to on your own, because I can't really help you here. I got up and jumped right back down onto the mattress once more. I wanted to break the fucking thing.
私のやってきたことって
All the shit I did was all for nothing.
私の存在意義って
The whole purpose behind my existence
すごくさくだらなかったんじゃないの
was all for nothing! I slammed the bed repeatedly with my fists, and the springs rocked back and forth vigorously. I think what you need to do now, Marguerite, is create a new purpose in life for yourself. No one else is gonna do it for you.
ずっと捨てられてから一人でやってきてさバルドに拾われて生きる意味を見つけたって思ってさ
This whole fucking time! I've done everything on my own ever since I was abandoned! And when Waldo took me in, I thought I'd finally found my reason to live!
誰にも負けないようにやってきたのに誰もみんないなくなったじゃないか
I got where I am today by never losing to anyone! But now, there's no one left! They're all fucking gone! My eyes were red and I was out of breath. As I threw my tantrum, a familiar figure stepped in through my bedroom door, carrying a tray. Hi, Waldo.
お嬢様、お帰りなさいませ。
Welcome back, madam.
ミルクティーをお持ちしました。
I brought you some milk tea. I got up and threw myself at Waldo with every last bit of force my muscles could push. Instantly, I was bawling. Madam. Waldo was old and wise. He was my rock in all of this.
バルドいいか私を誰にするな
Waldo, I want you to promise me something. Don't you ever leave me. You got that?
はい。
Of course. He smiled at me.
この教団は私が立て直すからもっといいものにしてやるからついてこい
This order needs to be rebuilt. I thought you were going to dismantle it. And I'm going to be the one to rebuild it. I'm going to make it better than ever. Oh boy. Come on. We've got a lot of work to do.
もちろんです。お嬢様。
But of course, madam. Well, I guess the Martaba's tomb is going to be reborn. It's bigger and stronger than ever. Yay! Well, is that it? Okay, that's all the name tags. That's all the endings. Look at the gallery of spirits. Well, hello. Somebody's missing here. Make that two somebodies. How do I unlock these other two soulful testimonies? I bet it has something to do with me having to, I don't know, make a very, very specific dialogue choice or two at certain points throughout the game. And if that's the case, I have no idea what they could be. Otherwise, the only thing I can think of is, I don't know, just maybe mess around with some of the soulful testimonies that I've already unlocked, listen to them, and then wait and see if the other two unlock. Once I mess around with that and just all the other bonus features. But otherwise, I guess I've more or less completed the game. I'm just gonna mute the music here. Well, so I guess this has been Corpse Party Blood Drive. It's all the loose ends that's been tied up. Main story's finished. I've seen all the EX chapters. I've gotten all the name tags. I've gotten all the wrong ends. Save for like a couple soulful testimonies, I've got pretty much everything, I think. I'm pretty much done. I guess now all that's left for me to do is just talk about my thoughts on the game in general and how it ties to the rest of the series. And so I guess if you're not interested in that and you only just wanted to see me complete the rest of the gameplay I wasn't able to complete in the last episode, then I guess you can go ahead and just stop the video here, and I guess I'll see you in another one of my videos or Let's Play series. Or not. That's entirely up to you. Otherwise, I guess feel free to stick around while I just ramble about the game until I decide enough is enough. Well, I guess overall, Blood Drive is a mixed bag for me. It has a few good ideas going for it, but a lot of them were, I feel, in terms of plot and game and maybe even gameplay mechanics in some respects, were executed in a half-hearted manner or worse than that, while others just weren't really touched upon in a way that I found satisfactory. But with other things, I found that it introduced some pretty cool things, like the most obvious changes that this game brings. I like the fact that we've moved on to a fully 3D rendered game engine now, where everything's 3D. The game environments, the character models, everything. I really do think that's a definite improvement from Blood Drive. Not Blood Drive, Blood Covered, Repeated Fear. That just had simple sprite-based graphics. And for a game that apparently for a game that appeared initially on the PlayStation Vita, the game looks pretty good here, upscaled on PC resolution and all that. So, yeah. And I think Corpse Party 2 is supposed to also be fully 3D, but it's got cel-shaded graphics to it, so everything's got a more cartoonish kind of look to it. The music is all around as pretty good as ever compared to other main entries, and the sound design is pretty good, pretty comparable to previous entries as well for the most part, especially when some spirits would just like to whisper their threats and other rambling thoughts into your ear, one after the other. But otherwise, much of the gameplay is very identical to Blood Covered, so there really isn't a whole lot I could talk about other than just the differences that they've introduced, such as the traps. Like, I have mixed feelings about the traps because, well, a lot of me running into those and damaging myself, I will admit, was pretty much my fault here, because a lot of time I was not being careful with where I was going, watching where I was going and all that stuff. But at the same time, there were times where they were placed in certain areas in the environment here that were just absolutely inconvenient for me to deal with, and were just an annoyance. But if nothing else, they did a pretty good job of helping to enhance the fact that I was essentially in a rundown old school building filled with all manner of broken debris and all that, and I had to watch my step, otherwise I would just hurt myself. So it's good for immersion, if nothing else. I also liked that. I also liked the flashlight. I also liked the idea behind the flashlight mechanics, but the game was pretty bright enough here, even with the flashlight off. I noticed to where I didn't really need it all that much, save for a few instances where it made it easier for me to spot some broken debris on the floor, thanks to the shadows that they would cast when you have a light source focused on them. Otherwise, the flashlight was just mostly useless throughout the game, at least to me. So, kind of disappointed that the flashlight mechanic wasn't really implemented in a way that I felt would have made it a lot more useful and a lot more mandatory to use. Like, maybe they could have just made the actual game itself a hell of a lot darker, to where you could only see maybe a foot or two in front of you around your general area, but otherwise it's almost pitch black inside the school, so you would need a light source to see where you're going. And then you just kind of have to balance between having the flashlight on and off here so you can conserve battery power but still get a general feel of where you're going. And you have to essentially rely on memory and what little you can see in front of you to find your way in the dark. I felt that would have been a much better implementation of the flashlight feature. And then, of course, we have bandages and other healing items like that, which I think are definitely nice little additions to have. But since save spots automatically heal you, I feel like they kind of negate the purpose of the bandages a bit somewhat. Maybe they'd be useful for sure if you knew you were far away from a safe spot and you were low on health and you absolutely needed to heal in order to try to get away from whatever was trying to kill you. But otherwise, if you're always close by to a save spot, you could always run to it and then just heal up that way. And as long as you're careful, you never have to use a single bandage throughout your entire playthrough of the game. Unlike me, who excuse me, didn't know that starting out and was a lot more reckless with how he played. So I definitely had plenty of reasons to use the bandages. And I guess finally there's also the issue of the story. Like, I feel like I need some time here to actually really fully get my thoughts together on every little bit of the story here, because there's just so many little tiny things all throughout it here that just kind of bugged me in some fashion or another. Like, some aspects of the plot felt, I don't know, kind of rushed. Like, all these different organizations and new characters that are introduced. Like with okay, Marguerite, I guess, got a decent amount of backstory here, but we didn't really get a chance to find out too much about the Martaba's Tomb organization here, or the Yagaras that Miso was a part of. And then, of course, just, yeah, I really shouldn't talk about this unless I have all my mental notes in order, but the game just felt like it was kind of a bit all over the place at times with its tone. Like, at the beginning, it felt like your typical corpse party game, similar in tone to how Blood Covered and Book of Shadows was. And then before I knew it, I found myself dealing with essentially an actual bona fide magical girl with skimpy outfit and a deadly scythe here, just running around here causing mischief and just threatening to chop people to bits with said scythe, and just randomly bursting into sing-song moe talk, like during that one time when Marguerite was just basically just going to town on a bunch of thugs that were harassing that waitress. I mean, that whole sequence was just kind of, it just came out of nowhere for me, and maybe what they were trying to go for was to show that Marguerite was unhinged in some respects, just doing something like that out of the blue while she was in the middle of essentially threatening a bunch of people's lives here and otherwise acting belligerent towards them. And yeah, I guess it worked ultimately, but it just, the tonal clash of that moment compared to the rest of that entire scene was just so, it just really boggled the mind a bit, honestly. Like, I wish maybe it would be better if I had some time to actually just go over everything off camera and just digest everything and just go over the plot on my own time. And if anybody's ever curious to know about my thoughts on specific plot points or characters, maybe then I'll have a much more firm grasp of what I want to try to convey here, and a more forefront to my mind kind of idea on specific characters and plot points and what have you that I'd want to talk about whenever somebody brings something up to me, so I can at least speak back on the subject in a way that makes sense to whoever I'm talking to. Like, it's frustrating. I felt like I had a fairly good idea in my head for a while here on what I wanted to talk about, but like, looking over everything, I just really don't know how else to describe this game other than just a mixed bag here. So I guess perhaps the most contentious thing I know for sure I can talk about is the ending. And just how it just, well, frankly, colors the rest of my view on the series up until this point. So, before I know it, I find myself in some kind of save the world plot here, where I had to basically put a stop to to the heavenly host dimension, which was now being referred to as Nirvana, which had a bit of a convoluted origin story to it. Otherwise, it would just break into the mortal realm and just cause the end of the world as we know it, as we kind of saw happen a few chapters ago. And, well, I failed to do that, so I had to go back in time and try to undo that loss. I ultimately succeed, but I really don't succeed, because all I'm able to really do in the end, as was pretty much hammered into the characters' heads at several points throughout the story, was just seal away the Nirvana. The Nirvana can't be destroyed, apparently. You can't destroy it. It's impossible. Once the genie came out of that bottle, it was here to stay. And that bottle being Sachiko, once she swallowed it, and that was after the whole thing came into existence, thanks to Yoshie's actions to try to see her dead husband. But anyway, so all we were able to really do was just seal the thing away by having Ayumi essentially do what Sachiko did and eat the damn thing. And in the process, she was able to use the Book of Shadows' powers to restore the memory of her departed friends in the mortal world, but she wasn't able to revive them, which was kind of the whole point of us going back to this hellhole to begin with. So, I mean, I guess it's better than nothing. Better than that. It's better than nothing. Which is what seemed like it probably was going to end up to be the case for a while. We were able to do something we were able to bring something back of the departed people who died in Heavenly Host back to the real world, and give the rest of Class 2-9 and other people who've died in Heavenly Host, their friends and loved ones, some kind of closure. But it's just the fact that my quest was, for the most part, in spite of this, ultimately for nothing, and all I'm essentially doing is delaying the Nirvana inevitably coming back, once Ayumi dies, and then coming back with a vengeance, probably bring into existence another dimension like Heavenly Host, and then with it, the apocalypse that we tried so hard to prevent from happening again in this game. Unless we can find some kind of way, maybe in a later installment, to actually get rid of this thing for good. Again, I have no idea if Corpse Party 2 will touch upon the subject of Nirvana in any way. But if it does, maybe we'll find some way to get rid of it for good. Otherwise, it just leaves a bitter taste in my mouth. This game's ending. It's just back in blood covered. I managed to get most of the members of Class 2-9 out alive, and almost half of them ended up dying. Everyone had to live with not only the trauma of Heavenly Host, but had to deal with the fact that they now suddenly lived in a world where nobody remembered anyone who died in Heavenly Host, including their recently departed friends. That was a sucky situation, to be sure. But what did Book of Shadows, and especially now Blood Drive, really do to change any of that? Besides just bring memories of their existence back into the real world. It did fuck all. In fact, it did worse than that. It basically introduced a situation where it seems like no matter what anybody does, the world is well and truly fucked. Maybe it'll happen sooner, maybe it'll happen a lot later, but it's gonna happen. Honestly, I'd argue that everybody would have gotten a happier ending if the story had just simply ended at the first game. That just simply remained as a somewhat complex, but mostly standalone ghost story. Where, yeah, the Heavenly Host may still continue to exist, with Yuki acting as the new foundation, but maybe there would be a chance that somebody could do something about Naho's blog, take that last post that she made off of it, so nobody would have even a slight chance of getting pulled into Heavenly Hosts again. And the tragedy and any further tragedies that dimension would cause could just ultimately stop and end with it right then and there. It would suck for the heroes who survived, who had to deal with the fact that their friends no longer exist in the world that they inhabit, but at least no one else would have to go through what they went through, if not worse. It's just... yeah, it's just like what I said at the beginning of this episode and towards the end of this last episode. Even though I don't dislike this game at all, like I said, it's kind of a mix. I feel like it's kind of a mixed bag for me here. I mean, I'd still recommend people play it here after playing the other previous games, but I definitely would rank this as my least favorite out of the main Corpse Party entries. But this ending just really kills a lot of it for me. And then, of course, Yoshiki sacrificing himself to be with Ayumi and an absolute non-existence. I mean, yeah, I guess I should have seen that. I guess I should have seen that coming. The guy is absolutely loyal to Ayumi. But, I mean, he could have done so much better than Ayumi. She rarely treated him with any semblance of genuine respect. Or at least enough of it here to counteract all the times that she greatly disrespected and mistreated him throughout all the different games. And especially in the sequels. I mean, it got kind of annoying after a while with the first game, but Book of Shadows and especially Blood Drive here, it just got on my nerves. Ayumi's just frankly intolerant behavior towards him. It made me mad at Yoshiki too at times here, for just making me wonder why the hell does she even put up with her crap? And I guess that's a perfect segue to talk about our main protagonist of this game. I'm not gonna... If the entirety of my Let's Play of this game didn't clue you in along with my Let's Plays of the previous games, but especially this Let's Play didn't clue you in, Ayumi really got on my nerves a few times in this game. Like, really got on my nerves. Like, she kind of always annoyed me a little bit ever since the first game when it came, just from how she again frequently mistreated Yoshiki when he was the only one that was trying to keep her head together here and try to help him out because, well, he's not Satoshi, frankly. But her antics in this game were just the absolute worst I've ever seen them in any of the main games up until now. Like, the entirety of this game's plot honestly would not have happened at all if she didn't make a series of really stupid decisions. Like, let's start at the beginning. Immediately after Book of Shadows ends here, she and Naomi just barely survive their misfiring with that ritual of the Book of Shadows. They barely survive, but Hinui kicks the bucket. They just barely manage to make it back to civilization and recover, but now they have more trauma to deal with here, courtesy of that new incident, along with everything else that they dealt with at Heavenly Host. And now Ayumi has lost her older sister, and now has to now deal with a whole bunch of more post-traumatic stress on top of everything else that she's accumulated with Heavenly Host. So obviously, yeah, I feel bad for her. I feel bad for her that things turn out this way, but at the same time, I mean, I was kind of warning right around the ending of Book of Shadows when that happened, just how bad an idea that whole adventure was. So, I mean, yeah, I'm sorry that it happened, but I mean, she really should have seen that shit coming. But then out of the blue, this asshole in a crappy hoodie shows up here and just basically starts insulting and berating her and just leaving her cryptic hints all over the place. And then it's just everybody, and then there's just all these different parties, including the guy in the hoodie, Misuro. Once he shows up, just start leading her by the nose here, using hints and statements of quote unquote fact, which weren't fact, like Hinui's last wish to Ayumi, that being the one thing that kind of got her started on her whole adventure to begin with by exploring that apartment, being born out of an obvious lie that if she stopped to pause and think about the context behind what Hinui would have wanted her to do after everything that happened at the Shinozaki estate, she would have probably realized right away that Hinui wouldn't have wanted her to risk putting herself in danger again with the Book of Shadows, and would want her to stay the hell away from it rather than try to get her hands on it in order to prevent it from, quote-unquote, other parties from getting their hands on it instead. But no, she just takes this crap at face value and just fails to observe obvious suspicious things going on around her in her environment when they're happening right in front of her, and just charges right into danger, forcing her friends to come and save her again. And after that happens, she promises not to cause them any more trouble anymore, which is good. I mean, I wish she didn't end up causing everybody trouble first with the Shinozaki estate, and then going to that Shinozaki person's apartment. Those two different instances. But I mean, hey, at least it was only 2 strikes at that point. And then cue Misuro showing up a few more times, and Aiko showing up and basically exposition dumping a bunch of crap on her and presenting her the Ever After Stones. She essentially gets the idea in her head to go back into the Nirvana, into Heavenly Host, to try to find the Book of Shadows, to try the goddamn spell to revive her friends again. And when she tries to go to Yoshiki to ask for his help about this, he realizes what a phenomenally stupid idea this is, and tries to destroy the Ever After Stones. And when that fails, and then when Misuro shows up again and freaking pummels poor Yoshiki into a nearby wall using supernatural powers, Ayumi doesn't stop to really think about the fact here that this asshole, who's been showing up in her home on several occasions without warning, without invitation, who's been berating her since day one, and has done virtually nothing to show that he's in any way trustworthy to her, or had any proof of any of the things that he was saying to her about the Nirvana, the Book of Shadows, or any of the other stuff relating to that stuff. No, she just took everything at that point that this guy says at face value, and trusts that he'll have her back when they go into the Nirvana. And, well, screw Yoshiki, who is lying there severely injured on the ground, I guess. I mean, I guess he'll be fine. I got this green-haired dipshit with me. What could possibly go wrong? It's just, And I know there's a better, more coherent way I could sum this shit up, but I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. I guess if there's one way I could sum up my feelings about this game's plot, it's a goddamn idiot plot. And by that I mean it's a plot that would absolutely not be possible if one or more different characters, and Ayumi is far from the only character who's made a series of bad decisions here. This plot would not have been possible if one or more characters didn't make a series of bad decisions that end up creating the set of circumstances that enabled this plot to happen the way it did in the first place. That being Ayumi just basically leaving her brain out by the fucking door when she left her home that morning, and just doing everything she did to go with Misuto back to Heavenly Host. And it's just... like, this... I think I'd be a lot more receptive to this plot if it was executed in such a way where it didn't require Ayumi and a couple of the other characters just ignoring common sense or ignoring their lessons from their previous experience from the other games, or otherwise just acting like goddamn idiots and clutching the idiot ball. I would have been more... if this plot was just executed in a more competent manner, if it wasn't done in a way that required people being stupid at various points, then I think I would have been a lot more receptive towards this plot rather than just feeling kind of about it. Because I really think this plot could have very well been avoided if everybody just stopped and think for one fucking second right at the very beginning parts of the game. But no. Not only did they not do that, but at various points throughout the game, people would one or more characters would end up just kind of suddenly find themselves grasping onto the idiot ball at various points in order to set themselves up to either get caught in a trap or otherwise get manipulated by somebody into eventually which eventually ends up causing something to happen to end up raising the stakes of the whole plot even higher than they already were. Until eventually we just get to the point where if we don't do something, the whole goddamn world is just going to end and everybody's going to die. I really should have just written this shit down here in advance here, so I could have a much more coherent way of coherent thing to look at here when it comes to conveying my thoughts on a lot of this stuff to you guys. But I mean, yeah. In a nutshell, I feel like there are various points in this game's story that definitely should have stayed in the oven longer. So they could have come out not so half-baked and probably something a little more, I don't know, intelligent, a little more cohesive, something that just honestly makes more sense than what we ultimately got. Because, again, it's not like I hate this game. There are some aspects about it I do like here, not just with the gameplay, but even some of its story as well. I was happy to see some of the other characters get some backstory fleshed out. Like with Aiko, we finally found out what Satsuki's backstory was, as brief and tragic as that was. And we got to but yeah, I don't want to keep dragging. I don't want to drag this on for too long here. I don't want to annoy you guys here with my frankly all over the place ramblings on this and that here, because I feel like I've done enough of that already, and some of you must be getting as irritated as hell with me. So, you know what? I think I'll just finish things off here. Overall, even though I feel like I could have done a much better job explaining my thoughts on various aspects of this game if I really took the time to sit down, think about it, and maybe get some notes prepared. Because this is just one of those games where I'm honestly kind of hazy on in a lot of respects when it comes to my thoughts on the game. I still recommend that anybody who's a fan of the previous Corpse Party games give this game a shot, but only after they've experienced all the other games first, including Hysteric Birthday Bash. Otherwise, if you're just moving on from Blood Covered straight to Blood Drive, you're going to be hopelessly lost on a lot of plot points and characters and other references. And even then, I wouldn't get your expectations too high when it comes to how the game resolves all the various plot threads that are introduced throughout previous entries and even in this game. Because I feel like, again, a lot of them were done in very lackluster ways, where their plot points are introduced too quickly and barely touched upon. Others are just quickly resolved in an anticlimactic way. Like Misudo's arc. He literally just gets his head bitten off by Satsuki after we stop him and subdue him. I don't know. Oh yeah, I guess there's one last aspect of this thing I could talk about. The game's villains. As annoying as Misudo was for me to deal with, I feel like they shouldn't have killed him off when they did. And just essentially have him be pushed to the sidelines to make way for the core of the Nirvana and, well, Sachi, who were very flat villains, but in comparison. Like, Sachi is essentially just the unborn twin of Sachiko that got absorbed in utero and is just not too terribly happy about not having been born, unlike Sachi. And just wants to ruin as many days as possible because of that. And also just, well, hijack whoever she can, so she can, whoever's body that she can, so she can experience a life for herself. I mean, she's not terribly complicated. And she barely has any speaking lines at all here, so we don't really get to know her in a more direct fashion, so to speak. Most of what we know about her is what has been told by Misudo and other characters. And then, of course, there's the Nirvana's core, which the witch thing, or whatever whatever it's called. All that thing really is just, to my understanding, just an amalgamation of the various innocents that were accused of witchcraft, and maybe some actual witches too, that were accused of witchcraft and essentially burned to death and murdered during the witch hunts and all that, the European witch hunts and all that stuff. There's nothing more to it than that. It's just a culmination of those souls that died in such horrific ways. And when we finally meet it, we beat it in a runic symbol questionnaire kind of minigame thing, where I had to essentially match up one set of words with another, and then just watch Ayumi just basically tough out whatever physical torment the thing brought upon her, and just try to emphasize with it. And lo and behold, that's all it really took to get the thing to go away, to make peace with itself and just cease to be, allowing Ayumi to essentially eat the Nirvana. Like, I'm sorry, but the ideas behind them, behind Sachi and the Nirvana's core are interesting to me. I will give them that. But that, at the end of the day, that's all they are. They're just ideas of something. They weren't really fleshed out in a way to where I really find them compelling replacements at all for Misuto. And again, I found the guy to be an absolute annoying ass to deal with. But at the very least, he was a constant presence throughout most of the story, and he does actually have some backstory to him and some compelling reason for him to do that motivates him to do everything that he did throughout the game, that actually make him feel like an actual villain rather than just mostly a plot device. So, as a result, I can't help but be slightly annoyed that Misuto ended up getting killed the way he did, and around the time that he did within the game. Because, I just felt he was ultimately a much better villain than Sachi and the Nirvana's core were. And everything after his death just felt like, kind of almost like tying up loose ends in some respects. That Misuto helped, that Misuto ended up leaving over from his own schemes. Yeah, that's all I really have to say on that. I guess that's pretty much everything. My thoughts on Blood Drive. It's overall mixed bag to me. I think I consider it my least favorite main entry in the series, but I would still reluctantly recommend that people who've played all the other games that have been localized up until now give a shot until after they played all those other games first. And who knows, maybe you'll feel a lot more positive about how this game resolves its plot threads, how it resolves the Heavenly Host arc. You'll receive it more positively than I did, but like I said, how this game resolves this whole arc just kind of leaves a bit of a bitter taste in my mouth. And if you ask me, the ending feels more like a sequel hook than an actual proper conclusion. Going by the stinger at the end of it, you know? So, yeah. Anyway, I guess I'll just go ahead and stop things here before you all finally decide to load a gun and try to shoot me in order to get me to shut up. So, this has been Corpse Party Blood Drive for the PC. If you've stuck with me up until now, from all the way up until now, from the first episode of this Let's Play all the way till this finale, or hell, have even done that and have seen any of my previous Let's Plays on the other games, well, for what's worth, I hope you guys enjoyed this Let's Play of Blood Drive. If you did and you want to see more content from me, feel free to subscribe to my channel. Anyway, I guess now I gotta move on to Corpse Party 2. Anyway, take care, guys.